everyone. I'm Laurel Stewart with the news from here in Taiwan and around the world. A medical ethics scandal that's rattled Taiwan is growing bigger as prosecutors step in to protect evidence. Students who say they were forced to give blood as part of a research project are happy the government is taking them seriously. But with facts in dispute and an inquiry yet to begin, the case is far from closed. John Van Trieste reports.
Camera flashes fill the lobby of the Education Ministry, where the latest chapter in an ethics scandal that shocked the country is unfolding. Surrounded by lawmakers and officials is Jian Qisheng. She's one of a group of student athletes from National Taiwan Normal University who say their coach forced them to give frequent blood samples to a research project or fail the course she taught. Jian says she just wants an apology and a way forward.
这是我们第一次认真的倾听，认真解决。他们不用带着情绪说话，他们也不用很大声的说话，他们只是听怎么做、怎么处理，该哪个部会去处理，怎么样积极的去追。
Jian says she's not out for vengeance or to smear reputations, but the lawmakers and officials who met with her today say this may be the end of Coach Zhou Taiying's decades-long career.
由体育署检讨，撤销周姓教练的教练证，并付之所有的相关的这个运动社团。
And there may be consequences for others involved in the blood sample research, as it was part of a government sports science project.
我们会跟国科会有个专案小组，一样会去清查过去的相关的研究计划，我们会全面稽查一并处理。
For now, officials and lawmakers are agreed on several points. There will be a cross-ministerial inquiry. There will be an investigation into the university's administrative mistakes. And there will be a single channel for more students who felt pressured to give blood to come forward. But there's much more to come. The coach has disputed some reports about the case in an interview with the United Daily News. She says that while she's willing to take any punishment, the idea that this was bullying or harming students is overblown. And she says media reports claiming the students had blood drawn 3 times a day, sometimes by people with no medical qualifications, are false. As the facts are settled, there could be legal consequences. Taipei prosecutors have launched a criminal inquiry and ordered evidence protected. The university isn't getting off either. It's barred from reviewing any research related to the human body for now. It'll have to pay a $37,000 fine and report to the Education Ministry on its plans for improvement in the next 3 months. Meanwhile, investigators are tasked with piecing together how such an ethical violation could have happened. Klein Wang and John Van Trieste in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
This year's Hangguang exercise is wrapping up, marking the end of Taiwan's largest ever military drills. New images show Marines, normally stationed in Kaohsiung in the south, redeploying to Taipei. The military says they were practicing counterattack operations in a simulated defense of the capital. The final day also includes urban resilience drills in eastern Taiwan, where civilians are required to shelter for 30 minutes amid air raid sirens. Taiwan has called off a Cross-Strait swimming event following concerns that it could threaten the country's maritime security. Cadence Quaranta reports.
An annual swimming competition between Taiwan's outlying Kinmen Islands and China's coastal city of Xiamen has been canceled this year after Chinese swimmers were not issued the entry permits they needed to be able to swim into Taiwan's waters.
This year's competition was hosted by the Xiamen government and would have started there, with swimmers crossing into Kinmen to finish the race. To participate, Chinese swimmers needed permission from Taiwan's sports administration to enter the waters around Kinmen. But just days before the event was supposed to happen on July 26, they still hadn't received those permits.
因为它是从海上入境的，所以很重要的就是入境的这一个许可，必须由中央来发给。那因为到目前为止我们都没有收到这一个入境的许可。
Whether or not the event would take place this year had already been in doubt for some time, after Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council, which governs relations with China, said earlier this month that it did not support it, calling it part of China's efforts to influence Taiwan.
我不会称它是单纯的运动，去那边就是要接受统战洗礼，从厦门游过来，等于是要游过我方的，进入到我方的禁限之水域。对这个事情呢，我们会比较谨慎的处理。
The council also suggested the event could threaten Taiwan's maritime security, as it would involve Chinese boats and swimmers entering Taiwan's waters. This is particularly sensitive considering the repeated incursions of Chinese Coast Guard ships into Kinmen's restricted waters since 2024. It's not clear whether the permit issues were influenced by these concerns. TaiwanPlus reached out to the Sports Administration, but it said it could not provide any details. Meanwhile, China's Taiwan Affairs Office has criticized obstruction of the event, saying it goes against the wishes of the people on both sides of the strait for exchanges and closer ties.
It's not clear if this means the event will be canceled in future years, but it is clear that rising tensions between Taiwan and China are making any sort of cross-strait event contentious. Howard Zhang and Cadence Quaranta for TaiwanPlus.
The U.S. State Department says it's U.S. policy to allow Taiwanese officials to make stopovers in the country.
Transits of the United States by high-level Taiwan officials, including presidents, are again in line with past practice and fully consistent with our longstanding policy, and such transits are undertaken with consideration for the safety, comfort, convenience, and dignity of the passenger. All right.
Bruce was responding to a question about how Taiwan President Lai Ching-te's reported stopovers in the U.S. might impact Washington's upcoming talks with Beijing. U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping soon. Lai is expected to visit allies in Central and South America in August. He transited in the U.S. state of Hawaii during a previous international trip last year. South Korea's highest court has upheld a not guilty verdict for Samsung Electronics chair J.Y. Lee in a long-running legal case. Lee was tried for stock manipulation and accounting fraud related to a merger of Samsung affiliates in 2015. He was found not guilty by 2 lower court rulings. South Korea's business community has welcomed the verdict. A leading industry group said it will help the country's economy at a time of trade tensions with the US. South Korea was hit with 25% tariffs earlier this month. Lawmakers here in Taipei have been continuing talks this week on how negotiations are going with Washington over so-called reciprocal tariffs. But while that plays out, industries here are also bracing for possible new US tariffs on their chips. Isabel Wang reports on how Taiwan is responding to the US's push to move more chip making stateside.
Surrounded by cheering Republican lawmakers, U.S. President Donald Trump has signed his One Big Beautiful Bill Act into law. This is part of his carrot and stick approach to give a 35% tax credit on chip fab projects started in the U.S. before 2026, while threatening to impose tariffs on chip imports very soon. How worried should Taiwan's chipmakers be about this? Tech analysts say the impact may be limited, especially when it comes to cutting-edge chips.
我们熟悉的10奈米以下的这个先进晶片啊，坦白讲是一点影响都没有。那个买方要卖账啊，你川普不管定多少的进口晶片的关税，高也好低也好，都不会台积电去外加的，不是台积电的成本负担，而是买家。
Aside from geopolitical tensions and national interests, are there more stories to tell about Taiwan's chip dominance? A Chip Odyssey is the first feature-length documentary about the history of Taiwan's semiconductor industry. It aims to bring people back to the 1970s and spotlight the unsung heroes who built the country's most critical industry.
我其实一直希望这个纪录片里面看到的还是人，看到的还是一个台湾的故事，看到的是这群人用了这样的一种技术跟努力，他怎么去创造了这个奇迹。我用我的旁白，用我采访这些人，收集这些故事的这种情怀吧，我被他们打动，然后我也要把这个部分给观众。
Taiwan has been on the headlines for years, but mostly just number and talking about the factory. There are people story behind it. So every technology success, there's a people very deeply human stories. And behind this human story, there's a conviction. Hopefully can humanize Taiwan as a keyword, not just become just a buzzword.
Since its release in mid-June, A Chip Odyssey has not only accumulated over $630,000 at the box office, it has also struck a chord with Taiwanese audiences.
今天我深深的 引以为傲，就是我们台湾拥有台积电，它也陆续的在世界各地陆续的投资。那我觉得这真的是我们的护国神山。
现在台湾的半导体能够进入亚洲发达，我想是因为当初的那一群那个年轻的工程师，他们能够为台湾做点事。
While some say they felt pride, others were moved to reflect on the past and the road ahead.
我整个影片结束的时候，其实我心非常的沉重了。我那时候我第一句话就告诉我说，那台湾接下来呢？接下来怎么走呢？那怎么样去突破现在的困境？那目前现在面临不管是美国的关税的问题，或者是说还有人才断炊的问题，还有现在教育的问题。
我很记得赵善哲讲过最后一句话，就是因为主要是我们现在台湾的不管是科技啊、经济或者是政治地位，都会有点压缩。那一句话就是要只许成功，不许失败，那才是我们对于我们自己。就是最骄傲，但是也最该努力的一个地方。
A Chip Odyssey will begin to screen in overseas theaters starting this fall. By doing so, it aims to show a global audience that Taiwan's semiconductor journey is far more than a tech story. Instead, it's a result of sacrifice, belief, and relentless effort from a generation of engineers that built the nation's silicon shield. Alex Chen and Isabel Wang for TaiwanPlus.
A new tropical storm has formed and will be closest to Taiwan from Friday night through Saturday morning. The Central Weather Administration has issued a sea warning as Tropical Storm Wipha passes south of the country. Heavy rain is expected along the east coast and southern regions, with intense showers as far north as Taipei. Southern Taiwan is still recovering from Typhoon Dinas, which hit the region hard earlier this month. Sheding Natural Park at the southern tip of Taiwan has been a haven for the local ecosystem and nature lovers. The nearby community hopes the park's growing popularity provides a chance to teach more people about sustainability. Irene Lin reports.
那个叫黄金蛹啊，越鲜艳就是一个躲避天敌。
With more than 50 types of butterfly, hundreds of plant species, and distinct natural scenery such as trees growing atop ancient coral reefs, Sheding Natural Park in Pingdong County, part of Kending National Park, is many nature lovers' favorite secret spot in the far south of Taiwan. Zhao Mingkun is one of the park rangers here. He says giving these small group tours has been an educational experience for both the visitors and himself.
在你做生态导览分享的过程当中，可以很深入的去了解这个物种。
The park is quieter than most tourist attractions, which has helped local flora and fauna flourish with as little disturbance as possible. But some animals have had to rely on humans, such as the Formosan Sika deer. It was once on the brink of extinction, now repopulating its habitat after years of effort.
我曾经有一次的经验，就看到梅花鹿3只母鹿带着2只小梅花鹿走进我们社区的步道，很多人都坐飞机到日本去看奈良的梅花鹿啊！我们自己本身花这么长的时间来富裕这个资源，我们都一直都没有利用到的。
The eastern area of the park has been reserved for Formosan Sika deer research. As the park gains popularity, the local community may face more challenges maintaining the harmony between humans and nature. But they're still optimistic that with more education and exposure, people may grow to cherish what nature has to offer. Patrick Chen and Ringland for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, let's end with Taiwanese long-distance swimmer Xu Wen-er, who successfully crossed the Cross-Strait on the Danish-Swedish border, setting a national record as the first Taiwanese to do so. I'm Laurel Stewart. Take care and see you next time.